Hey guys, it is Zach from Zach'sYReviews.com, and I am here with my gigantic June book haul. Yes, I have upwards of 42 plus books. That is a lot, most of which I purchased myself because I got a little bit of mad money, though all of the books that I bought were under $10, so I didn't spend as much as you may think. Anyway, I will leave the review links if I've already reviewed the book down below, as well as the Goodreads links to all of the books I talk about today, so you can go check them out and add them to your list if that is what you want. This book haul is broken up into 4 different parts. Each part has 2 sections. The parts are books I've already read, books I have yet to read, advanced reader copies, and the prize pack I was sent from Macmillan Publishing. If you haven't seen my most recent exciting announcements video, I will link it down below for you to check out because there are a lot of giveaways that I talk about on that video, and then most of them haven't even happened yet. So go check it out, come back, or go check it out after this. Either way, you're still getting the information, so I don't care which order you do it in, but just watch this video. Anyway, the giveaway won't be happening for about another month or so, maybe a little bit more, I'm not entirely sure, but it will be a YouTube only giveaway, meaning the only 2 ways to enter will be subscribe to my channel and comment on the giveaway video. This is not the giveaway video, though if you comment on it, it will be much appreciated by me. Anyway, let's get on with the haul. The first part, like I said, is the books I've already read. And the first section is rebuys. Yes, I do rebuy books. There are 3 main reasons, at least 3 ones pertinent to this haul, and one of them is I bought them in paperback before I learned that I could also buy them in hardcover on Amazon, because when you go to bookstores like Barnes & Noble, they pretty much only have it in paperback if it has already come out in paperback. So I wasn't able to purchase them in hardcover there, but when I found out I could do it on Amazon, it made things a lot easier. The first 8 books I bought are the first 8 books in the House of Night series. If you don't know what that is about, it is about a young girl named Zoe who is marked as a vampire fledgling and has to go to the House of Night, otherwise she will die from some kind of mystical cause. It's not really explicitly said, it just says that if she's not around adult vampires, she will die. But before she gets there, she is marked by the vampire goddess Nyx as her kind of own special gift to both humans and vampires. And so she's marked in a very special way, and the first book is a lot of world building setup, but it is still an enjoyable book. The second book kind of brings in the big bad and starts to build up the tension. It is a 12-book series. Books 11 and 12 have yet to be released. Book 11 will be released in October, and Book 12 will be released, I'm assuming, the following year, though it may be sooner, I'm not 100% sure. We just know that it comes out in 2014. Anyway, let's get on with it. I bought these first 8 books from the Amazon Marketplace. The most expensive one I bought was $3.99, though that was with Amazon Prime shipping. The cheapest one I bought was a penny before shipping. And the most expensive one that wasn't with Amazon shipping was 22 cents. So before shipping, I got a lot of these books really, really cheap. Anyway, the first one I got was obviously marked, which didn't come with a dust jacket, which is the one downfall. Well, not the one downfall. There are a few downfalls for buying from the Amazon Marketplace, but one of them is getting a dust jacketless copy. Try to find one that might say minor wear dust jacket, because at least then you know it comes with a dust jacket. Another downfall to them is when I got Betrayed, it is a library binding copy. This seller did not know that library binding should be sorted with the library binding section and thought since it was hardcover, it should be with the hardcovers. So I was kind of upset, and I may be rebuying this because I have major book OCD. Next, I bought Chosen, which is the 3rd one. Untamed, which is the 4th one. Hunted, which is the 5th one. And this one's a little weird too, but I'm not as upset about this one. It may get annoying in the future. I don't know. My book OCD is a little bit unpredictable. Anyway, you can see that it doesn't have the same kind of cover, dust jacketless cover as the first one does. And it's not just this one, because Tempted also came without a dust jacket, and you can see that it looks like the first one did. And why I'm not that upset that it doesn't come out with a dust jacket is that the spines match, and that is kind of my biggest thing with book OCD. If the spines match, I am perfectly happy to buy books without, or books with different covers. Then I have Burned, which is book number 7, and probably my favorite of the series so far, though I did really like Destined, which I don't have with me. Well, I have with me, but I don't have it in this haul. Anyway, then Awakened. The next book I bought was probably my favorite book from when I was a middle schooler, and that is Shakespeare's Secret by Elise Broach. This is just a little bit over 250 pages, and it is the story of a girl named Hero who is named after a Shakespearean character. Her parents are Shakespearean scholars, and she is picked on at her new school because of this. But she also discovers that the kind old lady next door may know something about Shakespeare and who Shakespeare may have really been. And so it leads Hero to make discoveries of her own and has character development and all that fun stuff. This is probably one of my favorite books. Not sure if it's an all ages book, all ages meaning adults would enjoy it as well, but it is something that I enjoyed when I was in middle school, and I do reread it every year, and it is still just as amazing as when I was younger. Then finally for this section we have The Immortal Rules by Julie Kagawa. This is the first book in her Blood of Eden series. This is about a girl named Allie who begrudgingly accepts becoming a vampire in a world ruled by vampires. It has a dystopian feel, though it is more post-apocalyptic than dystopian in my opinion. And so now Allie has to kind of wrestle with her inner demon and her humanity and figure out which one will come out on top. She has always been somebody who thought for herself and cared for herself more than others, but now she's traveling with a group of humans and sort of discovers that maybe, she could belong in a family-like environment and care for others just as she cares for herself and looks out for herself. This is a great book. I loved it a lot. The second book is not as good, but it still got 5 stars from me, so go check it out. Section 2 is new purchases. Now, these are books that I have already read, yet haven't actually bought yet. Or I bought and then read before this haul, so yeah, it kind of gets a little confusing. Anyway, all of these books I have reviewed, so definitely go check out that section if you want to look at a lot of great YA reviews. First, I have Delirium by Lauren Oliver. This takes place in a world where love is deemed an illness and a disease because love can cause heartbreak, and that can cause depression and even suicide. So at 18, they cure their citizens, cure them of love, so they can no longer feel it. And our main character, Lena, is excited to get her cure because then she can no longer be hurt by love, or she can't be hurt by love because she hasn't felt it yet. But before she gets her cure, the unthinkable happens and she does fall in love. The next one I got is Pandemonium. This is the second book in the series and kind of continues, and this is told completely from Lena's perspective, but in 2 different timelines. A then timeline, which takes place right after Delirium, and a now timeline that takes place a little bit later when she's matured and grown accustomed to something that I'm not going to say because spoilers. It might not be what you think, so yeah. And then we have Requiem, which is told in 2 perspectives, Lena's perspective and her best friend Hannah's perspective. I'm not going to say much about the series because I want you to read it. Next, we have Splintered by A.G. Howard. This is an Alice in Wonderland reimagining and continuance of sort. Alyssa, who is our main character, is the descendant of Alice Liddell, the girl who inspired Alice in Wonderland, and she is constantly teased because of that fact. And what she doesn't know is that her family is cursed with insanity, and she has to travel to Wonderland to break that curse. But when she gets there, she finds out it's not the Wonderland that we see in the Lewis Carroll tales, but instead it is dark and twisted, and a young girl like Alice may have been either traumatized or may have thought things were what they were not, and it is a great book. I loved it a lot. It was dark and twisted and creepy, and it was just right up my alley. I cannot wait to read the second book, Unhinged. I have a chapter sampler that I may be doing like a small video review of somewhere online, so you can totally go check that out when I have it. It will probably be a video review more than a talk, like a actual book review that I've written on my blog, because it's just a lot easier for me to do with something so small. Because I got it from NetGalley, so I kind of have to review it. Anyway, next we have Grave Mercy. This is a historical fiction paranormal series. It's about a girl named Ismay, who is the daughter of Mortain, the old god of death. She cannot be poisoned, and she is sent to attend the convent of Saint Mortain, which the old god has adopted to assimilate with the Catholic religion. She is then trained by nuns to assassinate those with the mark of Mortain. The mark is those who Mortain has deemed to die, and so she should carry out his will. When she is sent on a very special assignment, beliefs are challenged. Her beliefs are challenged, and she has to kind of figure out what role to follow. Next, we have Hallowed. This is the second book in the Unearthly series. The Unearthly series is about a girl named Clara who is an angel blood. She is 1/4 angel, and she has a purpose. The one thing she was put on this earth to do, and she needs to fulfill it because that is just how things are done. But when she moves to Wyoming to fulfill her purpose, she gets caught up in a love triangle and eventually a war between the White Wings, which are the good and heavenly angels, and the Black Wings, which are the fallen and darker angels. And then I also got Boundless, the third book in that series. Next, I got A Fractured Light. This is the second book in the A Beautiful Dark trilogy, which is similar to the Unearthly series in that it is an angel lore novel, and that is where the similarities end. This is about a girl named Sky who finds out that she is born from two types of angel, those who follow order and those who follow chaos. And so she is kind of this amalgam of both sides, and it's very interesting series. This probably has one of the best love triangles, as I am rooting for the one that is less predictable, though I still think may win out in the end. Mainly because I don't like the other guy. I don't hate him as much as like I hate Aspen from The Selection, but I do not like him very much. He's just kind of your predictable bad boy type, and it's something that has gotten old for me. Anyway, this is a great series. I would recommend anybody who loves angel lore to read it. The first one is a little bit slow at first, but this one definitely picks it up. This is by far my favorite of the series so far, but I really want to read Radiant Sky, which comes out in September. I'm actually about to email the publishers after this to see if I can get my hands on an advanced copy. Next, we have City of Glass. This is the third book in the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare, and I can't really explain the series. You just have to read it, and understanding will dawn on you after you read it. This is a book series that is told in third-person perspective, though, so if that's something you don't like, I'd still try to get used to it. I'm not a big fan of third-person perspective myself, but I love this series to pieces. This is my favorite one in this series, and I finally got it. I already had the first two, but I am slowly getting more of the books in this series. There are 5 so far, but there will be 6 total, or at least 6 planned total. And then next I got Clockwork Prince. This is the second book in the Infernal Devices series. I bought Clockwork Angel a few months ago, and then Clockwork Princess when it came out, and then I never got around to buying this, and so I finally decided that I needed to. It was less than $10, so I ended up buying it. Yeah, it's less than $10. Anyway, this is the second book in the Infernal Devices series, if I didn't already say that, which is a prequel to the Mortal Instruments, and it is more steampunk, and it's just I can't explain it because I need to explain that and to explain this, and it's hard. I'd say read it. I'd recommend this to any fan of steampunk, and if you are a fan of steampunk, I would say read this trilogy before you read the Mortal Instruments. Though I may be a little taking a little liberty with that because I haven't read Clockwork Princess yet, so I don't know if that ruins anything for the Mortal Instruments books. But if you do read Clockwork Princess and you get the collector's first edition, even after reading it, I would not look at the family tree until you finish reading Mortal Instruments. Just saying. Next, I have The Goddess Inheritance. This is the third/fourth book in the Goddess Test series. Why I'm saying it's third/fourth is because there is an anthology for the series, and technically that one would be the third book, but since it's an anthology, it's kind of 2.5, so this is the third one. Anyway, this series is about Kate Winters, who moves with her ailing and dying mother, to her mother's hometown, and there she comes upon a boy who she sees resurrecting a newly dead classmate and thinks that he may be able to help her with her dying mother. He agrees to help her if she comes back with him and stays at his house, and she finds herself thrust into the Goddess Test, where she is put at a test to be the Bride of Hades. It is a Persephone myth reinterpretation / sequel. It is one of my favorite series, even though this one is a little bit lacking. The other two are amazing. Next, we have Lies Beneath. This is the first book in the Lies Beneath trilogy. It is a mermaid book, though it is not your traditional Little Mermaid book. I can't really explain this well, but I do have this first one, so I can kind of talk about it here. Calder White lives in the cold, clear waters of Lake Superior, the only brother in a family of murderous mermaids. To survive, Calder and his sisters must prey upon humans and absorb their positive energy. Usually they select their victims at random, but this time around, the underwater clan chooses its target for a reason: revenge. They want to kill Jason Hancock, the man they blame for their mother's death. It's going to take a concerted effort to lure the aquaphobic Hancock onto the water. Calder's job is to gain Hancock's trust by getting close to his family. Relying on his irresistible good looks and charm, Calder sets out to seduce Hancock's daughter Lily. Easy enough, but Calder screws everything up by falling in love, just as Lily starts to suspect there's more to this monster in the lake legends than she ever imagined, and just as the mermaids threaten to take matters into their own hands, forcing Calder to choose between them and the girl he loves. One thing's for sure, whatever Calder decides, the outcome won't be pretty. So that kind of makes it sound cooler than it is. I gave it a kind of low rating because it reminded me a lot of Twilight. A lot of Twilight. Honestly, I was kind of surprised how much like Twilight this was. There was like a whole scene that I swear just came out of the movie. And I'm talking about the movie more than the book. But it still was... I still liked it a lot, enough to go on to the second one, which kind of totally changed my mind about the series, and that one is Deep Betrayal, which is actually told from Lily's perspective, and it made me think different about this series, and I kind of converted to the liking of this series more than the dislike. So I cannot wait for the third one, which is called, I believe, Promise Bound, which kind of reminds me of Blood Promise and Spirit Bound, which are two books in the Vampire Academy series, so I kind of get it mixed up a little bit. But yeah, I cannot wait to read this the third book, not that one. I've already read that one. Anyway, finally, my favorite series so far for this year, Splintered's on there too, and Unearthly, but so far this year, I love Star-Crossed by Josephine Angelini. This trilogy is amazing. I'm calling it the Awakening Trilogy because that is what it's called in other countries, and the Star-Crossed Trilogy, I don't like book series that are called by the first book's title. It doesn't seem right to me. Anyway, this is a Greek mythology-inspired book, but it doesn't take your traditional Greek myth that likes to be reinterpreted, which is the Persephone myth, but instead goes with the Trojan War. This is about a girl named Helen who, upon meeting the new family in town, feels a desire to kill them from external sources that she can't explain. Soon she finds out that she is descended from demigods, and she is thrown into a world of furies and blood feuds, and it's amazing. And there's a star-crossed romance. Obviously, it's called star-crossed. It's got to be a star-crossed romance. Which, for those of you who don't know the exact definition, I don't either. But from my experience, it is a romance that is all pretty forbidden. Anyway, I just, it's like a Romeo and Juliet kind of, but not exactly, love story, and it's amazing. Though there is a revelation revealed at the end of this book that is quickly debunked, and it's debunked with logic that everybody has, so I'm kind of confused at how it wasn't debunked sooner, because it's debunked in the third book. And it's just, I mean, it was debunked in this book, but everybody else finds out about it in the third book, which was just really weird to me. Then I have the second book, Dreamless, because I need to finish off this series. And then the third and final book in this trilogy, which this is my favorite one. This was my favorite one by far. I was so happy I got to review it early and then sent it off to the giveaway winner, because I had a giveaway for it. But I was so happy to read it and review it early, and this is not my favorite cover. My favorite cover is Dreamless, but this was my favorite book. It was amazing. I cannot recommend this series any more than I already have. Anyway, that ends part 1. Part 2 is all about books I have yet to read. I have 2 sections for this. They're the same as the read already sections, and that is rebuys and new purchases. Yes, I rebuy books I haven't read. Like I said, there are 3 reasons pertinent to this haul that I rebuy books. We already went over purchasing them in paperback before I found out I can purchase them in hardback on Amazon. But then there is my book OCD, which I need all my books to match in the same cover with the same format, and it works for me because, yeah. So sometimes publishers are nice enough to reprint a lot of the hardcovers with the new cover, but sometimes I have to get them in paperback and have an all paperback set. Most of the time I have to buy them in paperback with an all paperback set. The third reason is because 2 books in a series I love are originally published in the UK, and so to get them early, I sometimes buy them early. One I was able to get on my Kindle ahead of time, the other one I had to actually purchase from the UK. Unfortunately, I didn't get around to these early because I was either book blogging or finals or some weird odd reason, and that is why. So let's just kind of get into it. The first one is Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. This is about an assassin named Selena who has been captured by her kingdom. It is a fantasy series, but it doesn't have magic, or at least it says it doesn't have magic. I'm just going to read the back because I can. 2 men love her. The whole land fears her. Only she can save them all. You gotta love those taglines. In a world without magic, an assassin is summoned to the castle. She comes not to kill the vicious king who rules from his throne of glass, but to win her freedom. If she defeats 23 killers, thieves, and warriors in a competition, she will be released from prison to serve as the king's champion. Her name is Selena Sardothian. The crown prince will provoke her, the captain of the guard will protect her, and a princess from a faraway land will befriend her. You gotta love those, badass befriends the, dainty princessy person. Very Vampire Academy. But something evil dwells in the castle, and it's there to kill. When her competitors start dying one by one, Selena's fight for freedom becomes a fight for survival, and a desperate quest to root out the evil before it destroys her world. I need to read this. I'm reading it this month because the second book, Crown of Midnight, comes out next month, and I like to review my arcs a month ahead of time. So yes, I'm reading this month, and I like petting my covers. Pet your covers. It's something you can do. The next is the 10th book in the Last Apprentice series. It is called Lore of the Dead. I love this series to pieces. It is more of a teen book than a YA book, and I consider teen books in between middle grade and young adult. but it is still great nonetheless. I started reading it when I was like in not in high school. I was in middle school when I started reading this. Anyway, it is amazing. I love it so much. Like I said, this is the 10th book. This is about a boy named Tom Ward who becomes an apprentice at 13 to a spook, which is a like an exorcist for ye old England. And so, as a spook's apprentice, he is fighting against the dark, which are like boggarts, witches, and eventually the devil himself. I love this series so much. After 10 books, I have yet to become bored. I could read this series for the rest of my life. In all honesty, the action never stops. There is a slight love story, though not so much. It is definitely a book more geared towards males, though that doesn't mean that females can't love it as well. My friend Brittany loves this series, so it's not, it shouldn't be gender biased, but it is a little bit. Like, it is geared towards male audience than more than a female audience, but I do know a lot of girls who do love this series, so yes. And then we have book 11, Slither. This is more of a companion novel than a sequel, but anyway, it is about a creature named Slither who takes on a servant of a man who owes him a debt, and it reminds me a lot of Beauty and the Beast, which is my favorite fairy tale. While I would caution people to not read this unless they've read the first 10, just in case it contains spoilers, if you are interested in a Beauty and the Beast retelling and do not plan on reading the series, I am sure that it will be enough to catch you up on what happened in the series if need be. Alright, next we have Legend by Marie Lu. I started reading it a while ago and I love it, but I had to skip over it in favor of other books. But I will eventually come back to it. It is about a girl named June and a boy named Day. Day is the government's most wanted and June is the government's most prized. And when they send June after Day, she has her own vendetta against him. And it is a dystopian novel, and it is a little post-apocalyptic, but it's more pre-apocalyptic, I guess. But I can't really explain it. Anyway, it sounds awesome. I've heard there's a love story that blooms in it. I'm assuming that is between June and Day, though I am not sure. Anyway, I cannot wait to continue reading this. And this is the new cover. It is like matte and beautiful, and it's like got a spray painty texture, or not texture, but like look to it. And I love it. I love it a lot. And next, the first one in the new purchases is Prodigy. I kind of had to continue. Once I started reading Legend and knew I was going to love this series, I had to buy the second one. So yes, I got Prodigy, and it's also got that spray painting texture, which just I love it. Though this one has a deckled edge and this one doesn't have a deckled edge, which I'm kind of sad about, because if they knew they were going to do a deckled edge on this one, then they should have done a deckled edge on this one. And if they, didn't do one on this one, they shouldn't have done one on this one. Just saying. Next, we have Heaven by Alexandra Adornetto. This is the third and final book in the Halo trilogy, the first one being Halo. Anyway, this story is about a angel named Bethany who comes down to Earth with her siblings, I believe Ivy and Gabriel. And she is there to kind of combat negativity. It's a little bit deeper than that, but yeah. Anyway, then there she enters high school to blend in with society and falls in love with a boy named Xavier. And then there's also one of those evil love triangles where the bad guy is also after her, and it's a great series. I really liked it. It's not you don't have to necessarily be Christian to appreciate it, though as a Christian I do appreciate it a little bit. It's not a preachy book, I guess is what I should say. It is not a preachy book. It is very angel lore, though it's not Nephilim type angel lore. I love this cover, by the way. Like their hands and her face are making a heart, and it's cute. Next, we have Of Triton. This is by far one of my favorite series. It is about mermaids, but not mermaids. They don't like being called mermaids. It is about what who beings who call themselves Serena, and I can't exactly explain this one either, and I don't have the first one right with me to explain it. So just trust me that this series is awesome. But this is small. This is tiny. This is like less than 250 pages. I want a bigger sequel because the second book in a trilogy is supposed to have the most world building. So I don't see where they get off making it less than 250 pages. That's just not okay. First one was less than 350. That one's less than 250. That's not okay. I guess it's less than 352, but you know what I mean. Anyway, this one I'm really excited about. I decided to purchase it based on the cover alone, though I actually went through with it based on the description. Anyway, I saw this in a few book hauls, and one who had already read it and said it was amazing. It is School for Good and Evil by Salman Chinani. I look at this cover, guys. Look at how gorgeous that is. I mean, as a straight guy, I'm saying that it is gorgeous. There's like this bridge at the bottom with like a waterfall, and up here you can see like those two castles and the two main characters, and then that crest and that ribbony. I cannot wait to read this book. I'm hoping to read it during the booktubeathon if I have time. It's also got a deckled edge, and let me just read you the description. This year, best friends Sophie and Agatha will discover what it is to be a student at the fabled School for Good and Evil, where ordinary boys and girls are trained to be fairy tale heroes and villains. With her pink dresses, glass slippers, and devotion to good deeds, Sophie knows she'll earn top marks at the School for Good and graduate a storybook princess. Meanwhile, Agatha and her shapeless black frocks, wicked pet cat, and dislike of nearly everyone seems a natural fit for the School of Evil. But when the two girls are swept into the endless woods, they find their fortunes reversed. Sophie's dumped in the School of Evil to take uglification, death curses, and henchman training, while Agatha finds herself in the School for Good among princes and fair maidens, in princess etiquette and animal communication. But what if the mistake is actually the first clue to discovering who Sophie and Agatha really are? The School for Good and Evil is an epic journey into a dazzling new world where the only way out of a fairy tale is to live through one. It sounds amazing, and I need to read it now. I love fairy tale reinterpretations or books inspired by fairy tales, and this one just seems just all sorts of amazing. All sorts of amazing. Next, we have Phoenix by Elizabeth Richards. I haven't read the first one in this series, which is Black City, so I can't really explain what it's about very well, but I do know that when I read the description, I did love it, and knew that I would probably love the book as well. The author is an amazing person. I don't know her personally, but she is a very nice person who gives out swag to those who find her books on shelves and take pictures. So yeah, I just kind of felt supportive of an author, and less than $10. I bought it new for less than $10. I didn't buy it used for less than $10, which makes the difference because new, it kind of goes to the author. Used, it doesn't. Anyway, I was excited to get this. It matches and it goes well, and I need to read the series, and so this will give me a little bit more incentive to read the first one. Next, we have Carrier of the Mark by Leigh Fallon. If those of you who have read my July Most Wanted Books of July 2013, the very special books from series that I haven't read yet but really, really want to edition, you know that the second book, Shadow of the Mark, was on that list. And just listen to this description. There will be a lot of description reading probably from now on. Their love was meant to be. When Megan Rosenberg moves to Ireland, everything in her life seems to fall into place. After growing up in America, she's surprised to find herself feeling at home in her new school. She connects with a group of friends, and she is instantly drawn to the darkly handsome Adam DeReese. But Megan is about to discover that her feelings for Adam are tied to a fate that was sealed long ago, and that passion and power that brought them together could be their ultimate destruction. It just sounds awesome, and the cover, the girl kind of reminds me of Wendy on the cover, like from Peter Pan, but like the positioning of the cover and everything reminds me of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince when Katie Bell touches the cursed necklace and just kind of goes up in the air, and like her mouth opens and it looks crazy. But this looks awesome, and I cannot wait to read it. I'm hoping to read it probably in August. And finally, we have After Daybreak. This is the third and final book in the Darkness Before Dawn trilogy, which I've only read Darkness Before Dawn, and I read it before it came out, so I have been waiting a long time for this. Actually, I've only been waiting about a year for these last two books, because these books are published 6 months apart. Either way, Darkness Before Dawn was amazing. I cannot wait to read Blood-Kissed Sky, and After Daybreak sounds like it will be good too. Well, I haven't read the back because I'm not stupid, and, I don't like, spoiling myself, so, yeah. Anyway, I'm really excited to read it. If you have named Dawn, who lives in a vampire dystopian world, and she is sort of a liaison between the humans and the vampires. And in her job, she takes a lot of criticism from her classmates, but she soon finds herself drawn to the son of the vampire master of her town. And yeah, the first book I remember being really, really good. I really want to read the second one, and then of course this third one after. So that is all for part 2. On to part 3. Part 3, like I said, is advanced reader copies. The 2 sections for this are different than the first 2 parts, and they are the yet to be released advanced reader copies and the not yet released advanced reader copies. We're going to start with the not yet released, and I have received 5 ARCs this month. 4 from my friend Allie, who is a librarian in Massachusetts, who I met at Book Expo America. She emailed me a couple weeks ago and had some advanced reader copies she wanted to get rid of, some of which she got at Book Expo America, and they were ARCs that I didn't get, so I was really excited about those, and some that have already come out. And since she is a fan of finished copies over advanced reader copies, and I love advanced reader copies and will take pretty much whatever I can get that sounds good, I told her a couple that I wanted and got 4. And then the other one I got from Random House, and I'm really, really excited about it, and that is Premeditated by Jocelyn L. McQueen. Just listen to the back of this and judge for yourself, but it sounds really awesome to me. A week ago, Dinah's cousin cut her wrists. 5 days ago, Dinah found Claire's diary and discovered why. 3 days ago, Dinah stopped crying and came up with a plan. 2 days ago, she ditched her piercings and bleached the black dye from her hair. Yesterday, knee socks and a plaid uniform became a predator's camouflage. Today, Dinah will find the boy who broke Claire. By tomorrow, he'll wish she were dead. I love it. It sounds awesome, and the cover is just look at this cover. It's just it just screams thriller and awesome to me. I cannot wait to read it. Then I got sent some swag that my friend got at BEA, which is an Across the Starswept Sea bookmark. Cover prints for Among the Nameless Stars, which is a prequel to For Darkness Shows Its Stars by Dana Peterfriend, and The First Star to Fall, which is a prequel to Across the Starswept Sea by Dana Peterfriend. And of course, she also sent me Across the Starswept Sea. She got this at BEA, and she was in the line for it, and I wasn't. And I needed it so bad. There were only 100 of these given out at BEA, and unfortunately, I was 130. No, I was less than that. I was 110, 107. I was very close to the cutoff line. Anyway, it is signed in gold and blue sparkly thing, and I love it. I love it. I wanted it so bad, and I was a little bit late to Book Expo America, so I couldn't get it. And when she said she had a copy and she was letting me have it if I wanted it, I was like, yes. And this is based off of the Scarlet Pimpernel, or inspired by it, and I'll read the back for those of you who don't know. It doesn't give anything away for Darkness Shows the Stars, so don't be alarmed. This is a companion novel, and it has little to do with For Darkness Shows the Stars. From the critically acclaimed author of For Darkness Shows the Stars, her world is in the throes of rebellion, divided by tradition and progress. Her public life is that of a social life, filled with lavish parties and ball gowns. But inside, Persis Blake beats the heart of a daredevil, a spy, the very same heart that is also falling for the enemy. In a world of deception, who can she trust? Inspired by the Scarlet Pimpernel, Across the Starswept Sea is a thrilling adventure in which nothing is as it seems, and two teens from different worlds must fight for a future only they dare to imagine. Anyway, this is just, it's awesome. Dana Peterfrund also wrote the book Rampant and Ascendant, which is a duology about unicorns that kill, and I also got that from the library, so I'm really excited to have a little bit of a Dana Peterfrund readathon for myself. Next, I got Terry Pratchett's The Carpet People, which is actually his debut novel, though it originally came out in 1971. He wrote it when he was 17. He is like 50-something now. And I'm just going to kind of read the author's note, and I hope that doesn't violate any kind of copyright, because it shouldn't. I mean, it just explains this book a little bit better. This book had two authors, and they were both the same person. The Carpet People was published in 1971 and had a lot of things wrong with it, mostly having to do with being written by someone who was 17 at the time. Not that, this is my own personal talking, not that 17-year-old authors are bad, it's just you're a little less experienced at 17 than you may be at 40-something, 50-something. Anyway. And it sold a bit and eventually sold out. And that was it. And then, some years later, the novels in my Discworld series began to sell, and people would buy them and say, hey, what's this book, The Carpet People, by the same author? And the publishers got so fed up with telling people that there was no demand for it that they decided it was time for a new edition, which was read by Terry Pratchett, then aged 43, who said, hang on, I wrote this in the days when I thought fantasy was all battles and kings. Now I'm inclined to think that the real concerns of fantasy ought to be about not having battles and doing without kings. I'll just rewrite it here and there. Well, you know how it is when you tweak a thread that's hanging loose. So this is it. It's not exactly the book I wrote at 17. It's not exactly the book I'd have written at 43. It's a joint effort, but he doesn't have to give... I don't have to give him half the royalties. He'd only waste them. Readers asked for it. Here it is. Thanks. And it is about... Let me just read the back. When power-hungry villains threaten the tiny tribes of the carpet, a story begins that will come to a terrible end if everyone, doesn't do something about it. In addition to the full text, never before published in the US, this special volume includes illustrations, full-color inserts, and an exclusive story by the 17-year-old nascent writer who has since become one of the world's most beloved storytellers. So yeah, I am excited to read this. My uncle is a gigantic Terry Pratchett fan, and since from what it sounds like, he might not have read this one yet, so I'm going to let him read it before I do. It doesn't come out till November, so I'm not going to be reading it for a while anyway. So yes, I was very excited to get that. When I saw that they had that at Book Expo America, I was like face-palming myself for not getting it for my uncle. And for myself, I want to read it too, but yeah. Next, we have Arclight by Jocelyn L. McQueen, which, as you may remember, also wrote Premeditated. So I was really kind of excited when I learned that, because I was like, hey, I just got another book by this author. Anyway, I have to read the back because I can't explain it. The first rule of Arclight: light is safety, light is life. The second rule: never go outside alone. The third: no one ever comes back from the dark. But Marina did. Where did she come from? How did she survive? A debut thriller for fans of Stephen King and Veronica Roth. So this is already out. This came out in May. It came out in May. Anyway, I've heard good things about it, and the cover is just shiny. It's shiny. So I got it. Anyway, next is Life After Theft by April Lynn Pike. And again, I have to read the back. Kimberly Schaefer thought she was doomed to haunt the halls of her high school for eternity, until she met Jeff. Jeff can see Kimberly. Jeff can hear Kimberly. And Kimberly is convinced that if Jeff will help her settle her unfinished business. She stole some stuff while she was alive. What's the big deal? She'll be able to move on. But when he finally agrees, Kimberly is torn between setting things right and facing what truly awaits on the other side. So I think this is a standalone, though it may be the first in a series. I've heard a lot of good things about it, some bad things about it, so I want to form my own opinion on it, and I'm excited to get to it eventually. Anyway, that wraps up part 3. On to part 4. So as I said, part 4 is all about my prize pack that I got from Macmillan, which contains 4 books, 3 of which I will be giving away. 4, maybe. The copy of Tidal I received was intended for me personally. though if I feel like I want to give it away, I may give it away as well. Anyway, I also got some other swag stuff as well, so first things first is the books, then the swag. Those are the two sections of this part. First, we have Fated by Alison Noel. This is the first book in her Soul Seeker series. It is paperback, and it is about a girl named Dare Santos who finds out she's a soul seeker, which means she can navigate the world of the living and the dead, and she has to keep the balance between the two. She also has to keep control away from the evil Richter clan, the Coyote clan, and it's hard to do that. I can't really explain books very well, and this one isn't really a good help. So, anyway, this was a mediocre series. I liked it, but it definitely isn't one of my favorites. I read the first two books and kind of felt satisfied. Like, the ending of the second one was pretty satisfying, though I will go back. I will go and read the third one. I have it from the library already, and I'm planning to read it sometime probably in August. Next, I have Charm and Strange by Stephanie Kewen. I need to read the description of this because I cannot explain this myself. When you've been kept caged in the dark, it's impossible to see the forest for the trees. It's impossible to see anything, really, not without bars. Andrew Winston Winters is at war with himself. He's part Wayne, the lonely teenager exiled to a remote Vermont boarding school in the wake of a family tragedy, a guy who shuts out all his classmates, no matter the cost. He's part Drew, the angry young boy with the violent impulses that control him, the boy who spent a fateful, long-ago summer with his brother and teenage cousins, only to endure a secret so monstrous it led 3 children to do the unthinkable. Over the course of one night, while stuck at a party deep in the New England woods, Andrew battles both the pain of his past and the isolation of his present. Before the sun rises, he'll either surrender his sanity to the wild darkness inside his mind, or make peace with the most elemental of truths, that choosing to live can mean so much more than not dying. This sounds crazy awesome. It is just over 200 pages. I want to read it, so I probably will read it before I give it away, but I'm still going to give it away. It is a hardcover. Apparently it was worth $18. I do not see this small, tiny piece of book as worth $18, but apparently it is. I got it for free, and I'm giving it away for free, so yeah. Next, I got Switched by not by Alison Noel, by Amanda Hocking, who also wrote the Water Song series. This is the first book in her Trial trilogy, which is about a girl who finds out she's a changeling. She is a fae, and she was switched with a human and inadvertently took over her life. And finally, the book that was intended for me, which is Tidal by Amanda Hocking. This is the third book in her Water Song series. I haven't read the first 2 books yet, though if I start reading them and decide that I may not want to keep this book, I will give it away because I do know there are a lot of people that love this series. And next I got some swaggy stuff. So first I got a Tattoo for Everlasting, which is the last book in Alison Noel's Immortals series. I haven't heard good things about this series, but the tattoo is pretty cool. I have feather earrings that I'm not going to use, so I'm giving them away. But yeah, they kind of go with the Soul Seekers book. Then I have an exclusive Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell bookmark. Rainbow Rowell also wrote Eleanor and Park, for those of you who like that book. I've heard good things about it, and I will probably read it at some point. But yes, an exclusive Fangirl bookmark. And the piece de resistance of this is this iPad cover. While I wouldn't use this iPad cover due to the fact that it doesn't work with my smart cover, and for those who are wondering what a smart cover is, I will show you. It is this purple thing on my iPad that folds up into a stand for my iPad. But since it takes up part of the side and this little curved divot to accommodate it, I can't use it pretty much. Though I would like to. It's a nice cover. It's got a lot of books on it. Though in some instances, such as with this one and that one and those two and that one, I would have used the first book in the series. I know some of the other ones, like that one, are not the first book in the series, and I would have just used the first one in the series. That way, people are more familiarized with it. Anyway, but this is pretty cool, and I'm giving it away to somebody with an iPad. I might be doing a separate giveaway for this one just because I want those that have an iPad to win it and not those who just want the books and the swag. So I'm not 100% sure. I may be doing this as like a second prize or an alternate prize for, pick two winners, and then, maybe one of the entries will be, do you have an iPad and would you use the iPad cover? Anyway, that is all for this haul. Leave a comment telling me if you liked the haul, what books you got this last month, anything really, suggestions on books that I may want to buy in the future or at least get from my library. And as always, have a great day and happy reading.